How you doing, guys? Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. You heard it here first. Actually, you didn't hear it here first, but you heard it here best. Actually, probably wasn't even better or first, but I did say it. I did say that they would not most likely default on the debt, that they would push through and spend some more money to infinity, and that is looking like what's going to happen. As of the filming of this video, I'm not sure when it's going to get uploaded, but as of the filming, I don't think the debt deal has been officially pushed through. It's tentative, and like I'd mentioned, they may even still do some more theatrics where they allow a shutdown for a few days or whatever. But overall, the trend of the central banking model, the trend that the U.S. government has followed every time in the past, and every other central banking fiat currency system has followed in the past, is not just a direct default because they don't benefit from that. They are just going to print to infinity, this strict default. And people have pointed out that the U.S. has defaulted on the debt in the past, but yeah, in ways, sneaky, surreptitious ways, like coming off the gold standard, not recognizing certain obligations like that, and further debasing the currency. I mean, to be fair, to be perfectly clear, inflating away is defaulting in a manner. You're not paying back whatever you owe with the purchasing power that was expected when the people made the loan. So it is a form of a default, but it's one that takes slower because of the like the Cantillon effect that uneducated economists is always talking about. There's ways that certain people can benefit from the addition of money supply into a system if they're the ones who get it first, because inflation isn't automatic. Price inflation isn't an instantaneous automatic response to inflation in the money supply. If we made $100 quadrillion and then just put it on pallets in the middle of the desert, you're not going to notice any effects from that. And if someone made an extra $1 million and just gave it to me, and I ran out and spent it right away, I'm going to get the full purchasing power of whatever the current money supply had before that money was created, because it hasn't yet worked its way into the system. That's without the velocity of the money moving through the system and causing prices to rise, it's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen instantaneously even when it does work its way into the system. So there's actually a benefit to first mover. There's a first mover advantage when it comes to creating money. And so they're always going to take that benefit, as opposed to just being like, sorry, game's over, we can't pay Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, military, politicians. These shutdowns that they do, they cut off a lot of non-discretionary things, like they close the national parks, or some military people even get their pay furloughed for a while, which they eventually get it back when they make these debt deals. But this tentative deal is not surprising at all, and it actually sets the stage for endless printing, just like I predicted, where they're not going to have different types of budget caps. They're adding $2 trillion, which is only going to last a couple years, and it's just a mess. Like I said, there is no limit to the amount of money that they can just create, and they're going to prove it. It's like I've said before, when you're spending money you don't have, you might as well spend all of it, right? If you're not planning on actually paying it back. We've long since passed the point where it's feasible to literally pay the money back. Disregarding even the nature of the currency, that it is impossible to pay off all the debt because the money is debt and there's always more money owed than there is money in the system. But even beyond that, just when sheer amounts we're talking about here is hundreds of thousands of dollars per person living in the United States. Way more if you count actual taxpayers, adults, not just infants and every person, fogging a mirror, but everyone who's actually literally paying taxes of some kind. The amounts are absolutely astronomical, and you're getting less and less for your money. People are getting squeezed more with taxes, more with high prices, and it's just this has been written already, that they're just going to continue money printing. So this is not a surprise to me. It shouldn't be a surprise to you if you've been watching my videos. So just prepare. And of course, one of the best ways you can prepare: gold. I love me some South African Krugerrands. Now, the interesting thing is about the Krugerrands, for those of you who don't know, is that they are not 100% pure gold. They contain a full ounce of gold, but they contain a little bit more of other metals too. So it's worth the same amount as any other ounce of gold, because there is an ounce of gold in it, but it's a little bit different color, which I'm not thrilled about. I love these gold buffalo colors of the pure 24 karat gold, but I've always been a fan of the Krugerrands. Ever since I watched Lethal Weapon 2, just wanted me a big pile of Krugerrands, and they're a pretty awesome coin. I might get some of the silver Krugerrands as well. We should mix it up. I also like the South African. It's my favorite accent. I'm big on accents. I like trying to figure out where people's accents are from. And South African is my favorite of the English-speaking languages, my favorite accent. And the language is cool too, this like weird Dutch kind of mutation, the Afrikaans. It'd be fun to learn. But one cool thing, I actually blew someone's mind one time because, you know, I'll be able to tell if someone's actually like Kiwi versus Australian. And when I was playing poker and I correctly guessed that the guy was from New Zealand and not Australian, and he was super impressed. He's like, oh, most people just think Australian. I was like, I'm not most people, motherfucker. But my best one was I blew this chick's mind. It was in Miami and she was some bartender. We're actually down there for a Bitcoin conference. I got invited from someone, which was pretty interesting, last year ago or so. And I correctly guessed that she was from Kazakhstan. Now, I'm not that good with accents yet that I can tell that her English-speaking accent was specifically from Kazakhstan versus, you know, any of the other, like, Cyrillic-speaking countries. But the fact that I could tell it was like a Russian, basically, accent, and she looked Asian, I was like, this has got to be Kazakhstan. So, your boy's out here putting in the big brain work.
Bruh.
Get yourself some gold and silver to survive these ridiculous politicians selling us up the river. We knew it was going to happen. Shouldn't be a surprise, but prepare accordingly, as the man says. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.